Hi, welcome back. Our previous lesson was on utility theory. Today we'll be moving on to the first part of budget constraint. Now recall that when we started our lesson on consumer choice, we mentioned that the consumer's decision depends on various steps. The first step had to do with the consumer's preference, and we have talked extensively about this, where we considered the consumer's preferences, the indifference curve, and the utility. Now we'll be moving on to step two, which is the budget constraint, which is what the consumer can now do given their income and then the prices that they face. So in looking at the budget constraint, we are going to start with price taking consumers. So let's go back to our example of a consumer named Ella. And this consumer consumes rice and pasta. Now let's assume that Ella earns £100 a week. So Ella earns £100 per week, which she spends on only these two goods, rice and pasta. Two things can influence how much of each good Ella can buy per week. The first is her income, and the second is the price of the two goods. So if we assume that Ella's purchase of these goods will not affect their prices, then Ella is said to be what we call a price taking consumer, which simply implies that she has no control over the prices she faces. She just has to take prices as given. So let's assume that a bowl of rice is £5 and a bowl of pasta is £10. Now, given Ella's income of £100 per week, what are her options? So let's denote rice as good X and denote pasta as good Y. This is simply to make our analysis simple. Her total expenditure on rice will be the price of rice per bowl multiplied by the total quantity of rice she buys per week. So her total expenditure on rice will be the price of rice multiplied by the total quantity of rice that she consumes per week. And the total expenditure on pasta will be the price of pasta multiplied by the total quantity of pasta that she consumes per week. Since Ella's income is £100 per week, her total expenditure on both goods cannot be more than £100. We have to note here that we are assuming no borrowing or savings. So no borrowing simply means that she cannot spend more than she earns per week, which is £100. So she can't borrow money from friends or family to spend more than £100. And no savings means that she has to spend all her income on rice or pasta. She cannot buy rice, pasta, and then save part of her income. So because of this assumption, Ella's expenditure on rice plus her expenditure on pasta has to be equal to her total income per week. So we can represent Ella's budget constraint with this equation here. 5 is simply the price of rice per bowl, and X, which is rice, is the quantity of rice per week that Ella buys. So 5 times X is simply Ella's total expenditure on rice. Then this bit is 10 is the price of pasta and Y is the quantity of pasta that Ella buys per week. So 10 multiplied by Y is Ella's total expenditure on pasta, which is good Y in our example. So what we have said here is Ella's total expenditure on rice plus her total expenditure on pasta should be equal to her total income, which is equal to 100. So this is Ella's budget constraint. So given this budget constraint, if Ella decides to spend all her income on rice and buy 0 bowls of pasta, what is the maximum amount of rice that she can buy? So this, if we rewrite our budget constraint as 5x plus 10y being equal to the income, if Ella decides to buy 0 bowl of pasta this week, which means y is equal to 0, The maximum amount of rice that Ella can buy is represented by this function. So we have 5x plus 10 and y is 0. So we have this. So if we rewrite this, then we have 5x being equal to 100. So x is equal to 20. So this 20 is the maximum bowls of rice that Ella can buy per week if she decides to spend all her income buying rice and nothing of pasta. Then on the flip side, if Ella decides to spend all her income on only pasta and buy 0 bowls of rice, what is the maximum bowl of pasta that Ella can afford? So we're going to rewrite our budget constraint again. And in this case, x is equal to 0, which means Ella spends all her income buying y and nothing of x. So we can rewrite this as 5 multiplied by 0 plus 10y equals 100. So 10y equals 100 gives us y being equal to 10. So this 10 over here is the maximum bowl of pasta that Ella can buy if she decides to buy nothing of rice. If we are to state this in other words, given Ella's income and the prices that she faces, she cannot buy 20 bowls rice per week as well as some amount of pasta. She cannot also buy 10 bowls of pasta per week as well as something of rice. So if Ella wants to buy a positive amount of both goods, then she has to buy x less than 20 and y less than 10. For example, if Ella wants to buy 10 bowls of rice, her total expenditure on rice is going to be 5, which is the price per bowl, times the quantity that she buys, which is 50. So this will mean that she spends £50 on a bowl of rice per week. Now, because her income is 100, spending £50 on rice will leave an extra £50 that she can spend on pasta. So with £50, how much pasta can Ella buy? So if the price of pasta is 10 and Ella has £50, then she can buy 5 bowls of pasta. So if she buys 5 bowls of pasta, that is going to lead to £50. If she buys 10 bowls of rice and 5 bowls of pasta, her total expenditure is going to be 5 times the 10 bowls of rice plus 10 times the 5 bowls of pasta, which is 50 here and 50 here. So this is equal to her income. So Ella can adjust the quantities as much as she wants within the range of what is possible given her income and the price of the goods. So this is all that we have on the first part of our budget constraint. Our next lesson will be on the second part of this same budget constraint lesson. If you enjoyed today's lesson, consider subscribing. Thank you.